Are we okay now, or do you need another pause? Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, everyone, for coming to the committee or the governing body committee of whole Wednesday, June 7th, 2023. For public comment, for those of you in the audience, if you could please come up to the video, hit the button so that it turns green and state your name for the record. For those on Zoom, if you could please use the raise hand feature under public comment. For anybody in the room, if you could please mute or silence your phones during the proceedings, and then as well on Zoom, if you could please put your computer to mute. With that, Madam Clerk, will you please read when you're ready? Thank you.
Number 7, can you hear me out there? Number 7, ordinance third reading. Ordinance appropriating monies for the city of Cheyenne, Wyoming for the various purposes in conducting the municipal government of said city and fixing the amount of general and special taxes as part of the revenue required to meet the said appropriation, all for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th of 2024.
Thank you. Is there any public comment in the audience?
Mr. President,
Sorry, go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
if you wanted, I just wanted to give a quick report. Hasn't been a lot changed since our last committee of the whole meeting. At our last city council meeting, there were 4 amendments made. One for $128,000 for the fire department for our vehicle exhaust system, a $50,000 amendment to the compliance department for nuisance abatement, $127,280 to community recreation and events to help with the maintaining of our parking areas in the park system. And then $60,000 that went to our ward contingency funds, $20,000 per ward, which gives us a total general fund revenue of $66,215,278. So not a lot of changes from our last budget. We did have a few amendments, and we should be hopefully ready to complete this budget next Monday.
Thank you, sir. Robin, did you have any additional staff report?
No, I didn't. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I apologize for not calling the staff report first. Was there any public comment from anybody in the audience? Okay, see none. Jennifer, is anyone with their hand raised online for public comment? Okay, seeing and hearing none. Do I have a motion? Move to approve. Moved by Councilman Roybal, seconded by Councilman Seagrave. Any comments from council?
Mr. President, Dr. Rennie.
Go ahead, sir.
I have a couple amendments I would like to make. The first one is that I move to decrease the miscellaneous department transfer to reserves line item by $5,000 and increase the professional development line item in the city council department by the same amount. So if I have a second, I'll explain my motion.
Second.
Mr. President, we have had kind of limited funding for professional development in the council line item, and that happened somewhat during the COVID cutbacks. It hasn't been restored. We have some members that are a little more active now, like with WAM. I know I'm a board member for the Wyoming Association of Municipalities, and they provide some great continuing education for council members, and some council members are taking a little more advantage of that than they have in the past, and the rationale behind this amount is so that we don't have to always be trying to reappropriate in case some of us want to get continuing education and participate in WAM activities.
Is there any further comment in regards to the amendment? Public comment on the amendment. Jennifer, was anyone in the room with their hand raised? There is. Okay. Go ahead.
Dr. Aldridge, you can go ahead and speak.
Thank you, Chairman Johnson. I just wanted to concur with Councilman Rennie that I think as with everything, things are a little more complicated maybe than what they were 20 or 30 years ago as far as city governance. And it's really important that we stay educated and in step with what is going on statewide, as well as what's happening in the Wyoming State Legislature and the impact that it has upon our community. And WHAM is one of the major ways that we get that information and are able to be informed about what's going on, not only statewide, but with the Wyoming State Legislature. So I think it's really important that we have something budgeted, you know, whether right now, you know, we have members who can afford to do that on their own or not. I would hate to see anyone not be able to participate and to further their education that would benefit our community simply because of lack of funding. So for that reason, I'll be in support of this amendment.
And Jennifer, you can let the record show that Mr. Cook joined us at 6:08. Was there any other comments from council in regards to this amendment?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Mr. Escobar.
just through you, would we also be able to use that for some regional and national conferences?
Dr. Rennie, did you want me to answer that since I was the one that presented the original amendment?
Well, and, you know, I think yes, you can address that, Mr. President. I guess my take on that, having that kind of depends on, yes, that would probably be available for regional and national conferences. However, I don't think that one council member should say, I'm going to a national conference and spend, I mean, conceivably, they could spend the majority of our $5,000 that's budgeted, and I don't think that's fair to the other members that maybe want to attend a local or regional meeting. So in principle, yeah, it would be available, but in theory, I guess we kind of have to be careful how we manage that. So that's my take, Mr. President.
You, if the board will allow, just because attending several conferences, I'm going to ask the city treasurer, in regards to specific cities, because I know each cities have different per diem amounts. They are actually calculated, I believe, at the national level. So say myself, this, at the second half of this, for the first part of fiscal year 24, and then whoever replaces me, the back end of fiscal year 24, we could contact you to find out what the actual per diem amounts were, and then make that decision of whether or not to approve, say, for a national or regional conference based on where it was held and obviously hotels and everything else. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, follow up then, we would have to have a reimbursement policy?
Mr. Chairman, the city has a travel policy with very specific guidelines on what's reimbursable. And we do pay per diem based on for meals and for hotels.
The council would fall under the city's employee
Absolutely, yes.
travel policy. Okay.
Did you have any further questions, sir?
Well, just as Dr. Rennie said, I'm not sure 5,000 is going to be enough. So it's a start though.
Okay, I guess as a follow-up, just as informational to you, when I contacted the city treasurer in regards to this amendment, we kind of looked at what was done throughout the various departments. Her department was a little heavier with having, I believe you said $8,000, because you guys, or many members of your staff are CPAs that require that continual and recurrent knowledge, where other departments were roughly around the $5,000 to $6,000 range for their professional line items in regards to this. And so because of the council being, in this case, having more full-time jobs and, being here more of a part-time, therefore we took the lower number of the $5,000 that was done on most of the departments, since that's where this number came from, was based on how other departments handle their professional development. Did I state that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Is there any other follow-up questions in regards to this amendment? Okay, anybody online have their hand raised?
Dr. Aldrich, do you have another comment?
I do. Thank you, Jennifer. I was just going to mention, I'm guessing that it will be the president working with Jennifer to approve travel out of this budget line item since it's at the council budget. But I did want to just make a note that, you know, we're really fortunate that we live in Cheyenne and that the winter WAM meeting tends to be in Cheyenne because of the legislature being in session. However, we don't have very much control over where it's going to be held during the summer conference. And so that really varies from year to year what community it's being held in, as far as distance goes, the registration amount, as well as motel rooms, depending upon whether it's, you know, during the tourist season or before tourist season or after it. So I would think that if we are thinking we would want to go to any regional or national conferences, we would definitely have to increase that budget amount substantially. It's not uncommon. I attend a lot of conferences, and it's not uncommon for the average conference to be anywhere from $3,000 to $8,000 per conference.
Mr. President, I do want to add that Jennifer, or when the budget was proposed, you included $2,750. So the total will be in addition to the 5,000, so it'll be $7,750.
Is there any further comments in regards to this amendment? Does anyone have their hand raised online? Okay, very good. Seeing as we have a motion and a second on this amendment, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that motion does pass unanimously. Dr. Rennie, I believe you said you had a second amendment as well.
I do, Mr. President. Thank you. I would, the amendment is, I would move to decrease the miscellaneous department transfer of revenues line item by $75,618 and increase various payroll expenditure line items in the Community Recreation and Events Department, Botanic Gardens Division by the same amount. And then there's a second portion to this, Mr. Chairman. I also move to decrease the Special Purpose Options Tax Fund Botanic Gardens Operation and Maintenance Account payroll line item by $75,618 and decrease the Special Purpose Option Tax revenue by the same amount. And again, if I get a second, I'd like to explain it.
Seconded by Mr. Cook. Go ahead, sir.
Mr. President, for those of you that weren't here when it's probably been 2, 3, 6 penny tax issues ago, we built our beautiful Botanic Gardens, and within that we added I think around $2 million kind of as an endowment to help fund the maintenance for the next few years. We have had a couple of employees that have been funded out of that 6 penny endowment. And actually we added 2 more during COVID, some of the cutbacks then. We've managed to take the 2 COVID employees out of there a year or so ago, but we still have 2 employees in there, which is just draining our maintenance fund that much quicker. I think obviously when that's used up, then the monies have to start coming out of the general fund. I would like to see that maintenance fund last as long as possible. So with our additional recurring monies that we have, I would like to fund one of those positions out of that and get them out of the maintenance fund. That's the reason for my amendment.
Is there any public comment in regards to this amendment? Jennifer, is there anyone with their hand raised online from the public? No, not from the public. Comments from council? Go ahead, Mr. Cook.
I seconded the amendment. I spoke to Dr. Rennie about it earlier today. I support this. I believe in the rationale behind it. We should try to, as we have the means available. I'm assuming he spoke to you, Madam Treasurer, about it. So, assuming that we have the means to do this, I believe this is good practice for us to be doing. So, and the treasurer is shaking her head. affirmatively. So I think this is something we need to do. I hope my colleagues feel the same way, but I'm going to support this amendment for the reason that, you know, we need those employees, but I think we need to get into the general fund and out of the funds for the specific tax.
Thank you, sir. Any other comment from council? Seeing none in the room, is there anyone with their hand raised online? Okay, seeing as how there's no further council comment on this amendment, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, Jennifer, that does pass unanimously. Was there any other amendments that were to be brought forth before council? Jennifer, does anybody have their hand raised online that they wanted to present an amendment?
I don't see anyone with their hands raised.
Very good. If those are the only two amendments that are being brought forth before us tonight, this meeting is adjourned.
Oh, wait, we should vote.
Oh, wait, didn't
Wait,
vote on the
Mr.
budget.
Point of order. We have to vote on the motion, main motion is amended.
So with this, all those in, I thought we already did that. Oh, okay. Okay, oh, yeah, you have to go back to the main motion. Okay, so,
I'll need a motion.
oh, okay, so, gosh, now you got me all flustered. So for all of those in favor of the fiscal year 2024 budget as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Was that reverb or was that a no?
I think it was just reverb.
Okay, so that motion does pass unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, I also have an announcement, so don't forget.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, please.
Announcement of a public hearing for the proposed fiscal year 2024 budgets for the city of Cheyenne and Board of Public Utilities will be held on Monday, June 12th, 2023 at 6:00 p.m. in City Council Chambers, 2102 O'Neill Avenue, and via electronic conference meeting. Also, I'd like the record to show that Mr. Laybourne, or Councilman Laybourne, was on Zoom with Dr. Aldridge. So thank you very much.
Seeing as how on this agenda, it does say other items for the agenda. Does everybody agree that we actually were in a conclusion in regards to our agenda this evening? Very good. Thank you. And now we're adjourned. Thank you so much.